resources actually work. The impact would be catastrophic. It's also interesting to note that source communities, places where people come from, are not just in the south of Western Australia. Places like Broome and Exmouth and Derby are becoming source communities as well as host communities as people fly out. So that's the source community stuff. On the other hand, you need to look at the host communities and the ability of those towns to actually cope with the influx and turnover of people if there was the insistence on residential only. Apparently there are 14,000, slightly over 14,000 FIFO workers in Karratha, according to the Shire President. Just ask yourself the question, could the education infrastructure of Karratha cope with another 1,000 students today? What about another 10,000, which is probably more likely if there's going to be 14,000 people? Let's not forget that some of the biggest issues around health and education in regional Western Australia relate to workforce. The retention, or the gaining and retaining of staff, appropriately trained and experienced staff. If those towns burgeoned at the rate that would be required just to have those residential communities, we wouldn't get the workforce for those essential services, nor would we be able to house them at the moment. But you also have to remember that construction workers only might stay in a place for 3 or 4 months, because that's how long their skill is required in a particular, on a particular job. Imagine if you had to be residential and a construction worker. Could the schools cope with 1,000 kids moving in and out every 3 months? The answer is simply no. So it's time for us to recognise that FIFO is here to stay. And rather than vilifying FIFO, the challenge is to say, what are the best outcomes for workers, for families, for host and source communities and businesses, and what do we need to do to achieve that with this phenomenon that will be here for the next few decades? So that sets the scene a little bit. And I set the scene a little bit more by talking about FIFO as not being homogeneous. We often think that there is one type of person doing one type of job in FIFO. This is not true. And they're not even housed in one place. That's a range of the FIFO types of accommodation. They can be fly camps, which exist for just during the construction of construction camps. There are the construction camps that house those involved in the construction of the infrastructure for an operation. And then there are the operational camps that might be around for a very long time. These clusters might be close to a town, an existing town, or a long way away. They might even be in the town. They may be managed by a resource company or by MAC or by a specialist management of one of these villages or camps. They might be for resource companies' employees only, or they might be for contractor employees as well, or either separately or both. They also might have essential workers living in them, as is occurring in a number of places now. Now, here is one chance, one opportunity. The design of these villages, of these towns, their location and the way that they are managed has a significant ramifications on those who choose to live there for periods of time. So there is an enormous opportunity for this sector to go, how can we play in the space? What do we need to do to be relevant to providing solutions in these areas? And they're going to be around for a while, because as the resources move, the mines move further east, there aren't going to be desert cities like Pilbara cities pop up near the Northern Territory border. There's going to be fly-in, fly-out into those places as well, even though they might be flying in and flying out from the coastal Pilbara. So FIFO is going to be around for a long time. The camps, the opportunities in villages and camps is one opportunity for this particular industry. I just want to make a difference between neighbourhood and community. Now, I make this point wherever I go. There's a fundamental difference between what a neighbourhood is and what a community is. Neighbourhood is a spatial construct and community is a social construct. Neighbourhood is about physical things. It's about amenity and access and transport and facilities. It's very important. And as Bill Burrell often says, it's the garden in which communities grow. It's an important issue, but it is not community. Community is about people and the manner in which they interact. It's the coming together of people to achieve things, whether that be friendship or joint activities or joint actions. The camps and villages, host and source locations, need to be thought of in both the terms of neighbourhood and community. Too often we say community when we're really talking about things, we're talking about neighbourhoods. Now, late last year we were having a meeting with some people in the resource sector, and they were spatial folk mainly, engineers, planners, project managers. And we were talking about camps and villages. One of them said, some places you go to feel much better than other places, even though they have fewer physical assets. Is this what you're talking about? The vibe. Now that was an engineer. So I think that was, he must have used a thesaurus that he wasn't used to using. But it was a recognition, even by spatial people,